The Fort Taber-Fort Rodman Historical Association, in conjunction with New Bedford Cable TV, is bringing you a series of interviews with local citizens that we are labeling Heroes Among Us. These are individuals who have experienced the trauma, the confusion, and the drama of war. My name is Joseph Langlois. I'm president of the Fort Taber-Fort Rodman Historical Association. Those seen in this series are ordinary individuals who were confronted by extraordinary events that demanded at times more than they may have thought they were capable of enduring. They experienced situations that were impossible to imagine in civilian life. Some of those interviewed participated in historic military engagements, while others were often involved in conflicts that were kept from the public for years. We will not be discussing strategies or outcomes, but rather take a more focused, a more personal, and a more intimate account of events. We've decided to commit ourselves to this work, as history is often easily forgotten, distorted, or placed in well-written books once read that may never be taken off the shelf again. Most often, the roles of thousands of seamen, soldiers, airmen, and officers are often lost in time. Our hope is to preserve their memory, record their experiences, and allow others to learn from the bravery, the courage, and the indefinable spirit that mankind is capable of during periods of intense stress of the type that is often encountered during war. Today we're going to be talking with Mr. Matt Goulet. Mr. Goulet joined the service shortly after the United States declared war on Japan. While he was in the service, he was a member of Company L, Battalion 3, the 25th Regiment of the 4th Marine Division. He's going to be talking to us about his experiences fighting the Japanese in the Pacific. Most of these experiences were quite horrific. He fought in the Marshalls, he fought in Saipan, he also fought in Iwo Gima. So today we're going to let him talk about his experiences just prior to joining and why he joined, and we're also going to talk a little bit about his experiences after the war as well.
These ribbons, I've earned every one of them. These are allowed for me to wear on this here coat. And it signifies the 4th Marine Division. And down on the bottom, it says that I was a sergeant. And it also says I was in the Iwo Gima. And it also says 3rd Battalion, 25th Regiment. The little gizmos on the bottom. Over here, on the right-hand side, there's something I got from Boston, which says Iwo Gima. And they gave it to me while I was in Boston. Now, when we were there in Boston, there was only 14 men that fought on Iwo Gima. The circle gets smaller. The circle gets smaller every year. I hope I'm here for the next one, because I enjoyed myself so much. In 1939, I left for Haven and moved to Dartmouth where my father bought a farm. I sort of rebelled at that time because I was president of my class in Fairhaven, and I would have been president of the class of 43. And I wanted to stay in Fairhaven. Two things, I think. One was rebellion, but the second, I believe, was I was a patriot. And when I went through the Fairhaven system of schools, we studied the Constitution. I knew where Pearl Harbor was. I knew where Midway was. I knew about Japan. That's what we studied in the geography and the history of our country. And when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, I didn't know at that time, it was on a Sunday, and when I got home, my mother told me that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and I said, no. I said, that's where our fleet is. She said, yes, and they destroyed it all. I think at that time, I felt anger. And I said, they attacked our country? And yeah. And then when war was declared, I didn't join right away. But in I met a girl that I liked very much in between that time at a dance, and I was quite fond of her. And when I told her that I was going in 1942, in August 18th, 1942, she didn't want me to go in. She said, your dad owns a farm, you work on a farm, and you don't have to go to war. I said, I have to go. I'm the oldest boy, I got 2 younger brothers, a mother and a father, grandparents. I'm the only one in the family can go to defend our country. And I hate them. And that's the words, I hate them, came out.
Talking about the Japanese.
Talking about the Japanese. And she begged me, and I said, no, I'm going in. So I did. The 18th of August, 1942, my dad dropped me off at the recruiting station in New Bedford. And then at that point in time, was taken to Boston and joined the Marine Corps. The 3rd Battalion was quite a well-drilled battalion, and normally we were on the first wave. We always landed with Amtraks, and Amtrak's the first wave stuff.
Why don't you just talk what an Amtrak is?
Amtrak is a vehicle that's armored that holds about, I would say, 15, 20 men. And it can go through swamps, it can go through water, it can go through land. It's an ideal vehicle for first wave landings, or first, second, third, whatever they can get on them, you know.
Sure.
And it's protective. Now, at first we used to jump over the sides. Then they redesigned it and then put a ramp in the back, and we run out of the bank on both sides. In the event there was machine gun fire on the beach, they only could zero in on one side.
This bombardment led the Japs to expect our attack on the fringe of the marshes. But our blow was struck at the very center, the Kwajalein Atoll. We struck at both ends of the 70-mile atoll simultaneously. While the 7th Infantry headed for the main island of Kwajalein in the south, here in the north, the 4th Marines prepared to invade Roy and Namur.
In the Marshalls, our assignment was to take the associated islands near the main islands that they were going to attack, Roy and Namur. We went through the channel, but before we went through, there was 2 islands and there was a channel. They had landed men then with artillery, very, very well planned. And we went across the lagoon to the 2 islands that faced Roy and Namur. And we attacked them. It was very light fire, but the strange thing about baptism of fire is that I didn't like bullets.
You didn't?
No, I didn't like bullets going by me.
Yeah,
I
don't know why.
Well, you know, it's foolish. It went by you.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand that. I didn't accept it, right? But I walked and did my job, and we attacked the islands, and finally attacked the island that was closest to Roy and Namur. And now I set up my machine gun, because I was a corporal at that time. I set up my machine gun facing that island, and they attacked the day later. And it was quite a battle over there. But we stayed there quite a while, and there was about 80 islands in that lagoon. And I went on every one of them. That was our assignment, make sure they're secure, no Japanese there. There was none. One evening on the Amtrak, now you got to know about an Amtrak, it goes on an LST. It goes out the front of the boat on the ramp. Now the way that happens is as the boat goes down, they'll gun it to go out. As the boat goes down, they'll gun it to go in. One night we was on an awful storm, and we were trying to get back to the LST. And it was so bad that they stopped bringing them on ship because we're afraid they're going to tip, because it'd be up like that, just a little bit on the bow, and bingo, they go into the drink. So they sent us back to the island that we came from. Well, being dark and It wasn't the island we came from. And all I could see is a mound and a rod sticking up. I said, "No, that must be an antenna. And that could be a bunker." So I told my men, lock and load, we're going in. Beware, we're going to be in, maybe this one's, for real.
Yeah.
We did go in there. It was not a bunker. It was a bunch of sand with a bamboo pole. But my imagination was taking over,
Well, it's
not taking
better,
any chances.
It's better to be prepared.
Yeah. So we secured the island. I would say an hour later, that was the most beautiful island I ever been on. I laid on a sandy beach eating a coconut, and the water was just surf coming in. The wind had stopped. Everything had stopped. And we spent the night there. And it was beautiful, beautiful, warm, beautiful. You didn't think it was no more,
Yeah.
But then we secured the other islands, and then we went back to where we were at the beginning. And that battle was over. And we stayed there for quite some time. But I think the reason we stayed there was because we're putting the tents in Maui. You notice we came from the United States,
Right.
hit the Marshall Islands. Anyways, we prepared ourselves. We didn't know where we were going. And finally, we boarded the ship, and we went to Saipan.
The invasion was on. D-Day, 0700 hours. Troops of the 2nd and 4th Marine Division piled into Higgins boats, and then alligators. Awaiting the starting signal, assault boats circled around the transports. Landings were to be made along a line from Charankanoa to Aguignan Point by the 2nd and 4th Marines moving in abreast. Under our naval barrage, the boats started for Saipan's shores at 0815 hours. Soon we would know how effective had been the pre-invasion bombardment and how much strength there was left on the island.
Again, that morning, first wave. We went on heavy artillery fire when we landed on the beach. And it's very difficult for machine gunners to run through artillery fire. Not because of the light machine gun, but for the heavy machine gun, the tripod weighs 52 pounds. And if you're trying to run at full speed, it's very difficult for that person. So we did the best we could. We'd probably double up on that, try to carry it with 2 or 3 men.
Two guys carrying it.
But then we'd have 3 men together, and when things goes off, artillery goes off, you could lose 3 men. So we did the best we could, and my sergeant was hit, and he went down. So I ran over to him, and I said to him, "Where you hit?" "No, that's all right, I can handle myself. Take the men and go through the artillery. Now." Yes, I did. I led the men through the artillery fire. We got back to the captain. I reported to him that the sergeant is down, and he's okay. He's probably, if he didn't get hit after I left, he's okay. He says, "Well, you led the men through the charge?" I said, "I led the men through the charge." He said, "I'm now a sergeant." I said, "I'm a sergeant?" Not really wanting to be a sergeant, but "I'm a sergeant?" "Yes, you're a sergeant. You're in charge of those men." "Okay, thank you, sir." We went through the battle. There were some funny moments. There were some funny moments in that battle. We fought for, I think, maybe 15 days. 11 to 15 days we were on the line. And they pulled us off the line. They brought us back to a hill we took with bayonets. And on that hill, I was wounded. It so happened we had come back for resupply and rest. And we didn't dig in. Lesson learned. Well, we're miles off the line now. Saipan was a big island. We're miles off the line. We didn't feel it necessary to do. We felt secure. I did. And the second day that we were there, I woke up early in the morning, and I don't know what made me wake up. There was no noise or anything. I woke up. And about 80 yards, 75 to 80 yards in front of me, walking in this direction, in front of me when I'm looking up. Oh, I put my head down. What are these crazy Marines doing now? What are these guys marching now? Then I said, wait a minute. The guy in front's got a sword. That's not Marines, that's Japs. So I got up screaming. We're under attack. My men, they're all laying there in a row. My men, wake up, we're under attack. Wake up. We're under attack. And I'm screaming and yelling for the company to know. In the corner of my eye, I saw a blur. I had good vision on the corner of my eye. And I turned around and had my rifle in my hand. But it had plastic on it. First time I ever plastic. And I'm putting my finger through the plastic, swinging around, and I see him, a Jap, a straggler, trying to meet those guys. Now, all this is milliseconds.
Yeah, very fast.
Yeah, milliseconds. So I was going to shoot him.
Sure.
But he shot me twice. Probably 3 times, because I got twice in the legs. Now, my leg was up on the side of a hill, up. So he was walking this way, so he was aiming here, and he hit me here. Thank God. Excitement, we got excited, they get excited. And one of my men must have shot him, because the blood was squirting out, and I didn't want to lose. The first thing I thought was stop the bleeding.
Put pressure on it.
Yeah, put my pressure on it, stop the bleeding. I did that. And I'm standing up on one leg. One of my men came by, and he was struck on the arm. He said, I'm hit, Sarge. I said, get down to the aid station immediately. Run down there. Take care of yourself. Don't stop the bleeding. And the next thing I knew, I was on the ground. And when I woke up, I was crawling. And these hands came out of not a foxhole, a shell hole, where my sergeants, I was going to be with all the time now, pulled me in and put me together. Now, these are comical things, even under serious conditions. The first thing they want to do is give you a cigarette. I mean, I don't know what a cigarette does to a guy that's wounded, but have a cigarette. And then they take the knives, and the story of the knives, they slip me right up, look at it. Oh, that isn't bad. You got the $1 million wound and you're going to go home. That's all they could talk about. I says, stop the bleeding, stop the bleeding. So they did bandage me up, put the sulfanilamide on there. That's the first time we used sulfanilamide. Put it on there. Well, that's fine. They patched me up. Then I said, I must have fell down on my side, because it feels like when I was a child and sliding into second base on the rocks.
Sure. It
burned me, And I said, it must be that. I must have fell down.
It wasn't that, though, was it?
It was a bullet that hit me over there. And then, as I'm sitting there against the dirt, I feel wet back here. So I go back here and I come up, blood. So what's this? So they ripped my back open, get to it. Oh, it's a little scratch. A little scratch? From what? We saw a guy stab you. You saw the guy stab me. I didn't know I stabbed.
You were bayoneted.
I don't know what it was, but apparently he hit the bone. And I was on one foot, so I must have gone flying. That's how I got on the ground.
Sure.
And they shot him. When they were looking at him, they shot him. Thank goodness they did. And they were great guys. And they thought I was going home. When that battle was over, we all came back. Most of us. And I was in the tent with the sergeants that took care of me now. And when I come in there, they said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm coming home. You've been home and you come back? No, I'm coming home, right here. Oh, no wonder I'd see your box over there. Your trunk, it's over there. We wondered why. I guess they left it there, they're going to send it home to you. I said, okay, but I'm here now. And they put a rifle there, because I left my rifle on. I said it was awful nice of them. So I got back in with the boys.
Oh, after you got wounded, where were you cared for?
How they cared for me?
Yeah, where were you cared for?
In Oahu.
Okay, they send you back to Hawaii.
Oh yeah,
To
well,
care for
because
your
we were going to
wounds.
go Maui, so the hospital is in Oahu.
All right.
I stayed there 5 months.
Okay.
Now, in February 19th is where we hit Iwo Gima.
Okay.
I got back into the
How come they didn't send you home? How come they sent you back?
sergeant.
Because you were a sergeant?
Sergeant. They don't.
Okay.
They try to patch you up.
Okay.
If they can't patch you up, well, they'll send you home.
Yeah.
If you can't patch up in the time that's necessary, they send you back into combat.
5 months, those wounds must have been relatively serious.
Well, the bullet's still here.
Okay, the bullet's still
One
in you.
bullet is here. The other bullet must have went through, or maybe it went through there. I don't know what happened, but there's two bullet holes here and one bullet here. I didn't know that till many years later. A friend of mine was x-raying me for my knees, and she came up and says, "Matt, what? You got a bullet in you." I said, "Got a bullet in me? Where?" Right here. It's unbelievable. They never told me.
They didn't tell you.
Never said a
They were
word
leaving
to
it
me
in.
about a bullet in me.
Okay.
And I said, that's amazing.
So they send you to Iwo Jima.
No, they sent me back from there back to the camp, and I
Okay.
just met some new men,
Okay.
all brand new. Never seen them before. And I said, well, they've been taking care of it. The sergeant had been taking care of that section for me, and there was a fill-in for me. I had 2 new corporals, and I walked out there that morning and I don't even want to know the names. And I sat them down. I said, relax, you know. And I told them who I was, and what I'd been doing. I just come out of the hospital, and we talked. Then I said to him, "How long you been in the Corps?" And it was just 6, 7 months. I said, "You've never been in combat?" "No, sir. We just come out of Pendleton here." "Oh, you did your duty in Pendleton?" "Yes, we did." "Okay. So you haven't been in the Corps long?" "Nope." "Never been in combat?" "Nope." Then I said, "I'm a sergeant. I'm your sergeant. And my job is to bring you home to your family. That's my job. In order to do that job, you have to listen to me. I don't want you doing anything foolish. Don't become a hero in one day. Work with your buddy. Cover him, he covers you, and we'll probably come out of this alive."
There it is, Iwo Gima, 8 square miles of volcanic rock. To 2 divisions of the United States Marines fell the task of creating that bridgehead, 4,500 yards wide. The greatest United States force ever assembled in the Pacific closes on Iwo Gima. 800 ships and thousands of small landing craft head for the island. Carriers, lying back of the main fleet, sent in hundreds of bombers. For 72 days before the landings, our bombers pounded the heavily fortified Jap base.
Well, when we boarded the ship, they said, "Where are we going, Sarge?" I said, "I don't know. We won't know till we're out in the middle of the ocean. That's when they tell you. When we were out on our way." He said, "But we got the metal things on. Yeah, we have the metal things. You practiced on them, didn't you?" He says, "What does that mean?" I said, "Normally we'll be in the first wave. But don't worry about it. Okay? Don't worry about it. Don't think about it." And as we're boarding the Amtraks, as we got on Iwo Gima, then we're on deck, looking at stuff. Then you have to go below deck and get on your Amtraks when they call you. And we're watching the bombardment of the, boy, and it's something. We had a lot of ships there. You had the might of America in that island. Well, I couldn't believe what we had there. So just before we're loading up, and when we're down below the decks, loading up on our Amtraks, they said to me, "We're scared, Sarge, we're scared." "Are you scared?" I said, "Damn right. And I'm glad you're scared because you won't do anything stupid, like trying to be a hero. You know, they're dead heroes.
Yes.
And don't do anything foolish. Listen to me. And I tell you hit the deck, you hit the deck. I tell you set up in machine guns, you set up in machine guns. Where I tell you to set them up." "Okay, Sarge, okay." Well, apparently we landed in columns of companies on Iwo Gima because the beach was so small, it wasn't funny. And our objective that day was to take the hill on the right flank. So as I came in like with the 3rd platoon. So they put 2 platoons before me, I came in behind them, and heavy weapons comes in behind me. So I knew what my duty was to be on the right flank, but when the Amtraks come in on a beach like that, they look for an opening. You know, if the guy backs out, they go right in.
They want to go in.
They
Sure.
go right into that slot. So they came in on the left of my company, the left of it, not the right of my company. So I knew where I was supposed to be, so it didn't bother me at all. I get on the beach, and all the guys are hunkered down. Now, this is the sight that bothered me most in my life. They were touching one another on the beach, line after line after line, up to the top of the ridge of the beach, which is all volcanic sand. And if you step in it, you went down about that big, that much. Yeah. And it was difficult to get up there. Sure. But they were laying there, hunkering down. And as I got in, got my men, I said, "Hunker down." They did the same thing because I had a spot I had them done. So I'm standing there below the ridge, of course. I said, my sergeants and my 10, they're all together. I said, "What are you doing here?" "Well, they told us to hunker down." I said, "For what? You're supposed to be on the attack." But they said, "Wait till more people come in, more men come in, and we'll all go down on the attack." I said, "Well, that's sensible." And then I'm saying, "And they're not shooting at you?" "Oh, yeah, they're shooting over the ridge, over the top of the ridge, over the sand is, the beach. It's a heavy machine gun fire." So we're hunkering down until we get a lot of guys to charge. At that time, I heard incoming. You know when it's incoming or outgoing. So, and I'm yelling, "Hey, that's incoming!" Now, these men are on that beach. Sometimes I always thought that I had a guardian angel, and I always thought it was my English grandmother that loved me so dearly, that she was watching over me. I don't know where to hide. I don't know where to go to protect myself. And all of a sudden, I looked and saw a hole. And it was strange, because this is loose sand, and that hole was like on a solid ground. And I ran to that hole, and I jumped in. And as I'm jumping, I'm saying, "Oh, they booby-trap these things." Oh, but I went down. Nothing happened. I hunkered down, way as down as low as I could possibly get. And when the firing stopped, I came out and saw the worst sight in my life. And what bothered me was my men were chopped up. Awful sight. The sergeants were yelling at me, "Help me, Matt. Help me, Matt." I went to help them, to stop the bleeding. That's all I was going to do. And if I could stop the bleeding, we could save their lives. But shrapnel does an awful lot of damage to people. I didn't have a scratch. I started to run over to them. They said, "We're moving out." So I had one gun left out of 4. And I said, "Get that gun," with maybe a couple of guys. And Kenny Stewartson was my best friend. He was alive. "Let's move it out." And I didn't move out with many men. I moved out with one gun instead of 4. And I went with my company. The distance that we went that day, I would probably say at least 500 yards, maybe 400 yards, to the bottom of our objective hill.
Bottom of that hill.
Yeah, bottom of that hill. And that hill had to be taken that day because it commanded the beach, and they had observation, and they had heavy machine gun fire in the caves out on us. It took us all day to get to the bottom of the hill. We got there, and I was all on ammunition and machine gun ammunition. When I went to see the captain, you could put the men that were standing there in this room right here. That's how many men that were left. And I looked around, I think I was the only sergeant left out of a company of 240 men. And I didn't say anything, I just went to the captain, Skipper, I can't take this hill and support you because I have no more ammunition. He said, well, we're going to have to go back to the beach and get some ammunition. So he asked for volunteers, and they're all new kids. They didn't move, and it's not their fault. They didn't move. They didn't move. And I said, I'll go, Skipper. So I left my rifle there, took my bandoliers off so I could run faster. And I did go back to the beach. And as I was running, there was no fear. I had no feelings of anything. Only one thing I was thinking about: get to the beach, get more men, bring the ammunition back to the guys.
Yep.
That's the only thing I was thinking about. And the machine gun fire, I could see it. You see, when the bullets land by you, they kick up the dirt. And I was running, and the bullets came right between my legs on that side and on this side, and I could never understand that later on.
Well, you hadn't been shot.
The legs was shot right from underneath me. If it went down, I would have been dead, because that's where they were firing, and sooner or later hit the ground, but hit me. But I didn't think of it at that time. I thought of it many, many months later. And I organized a carrying party of about 14, 15 men. We brought everything back, even grenades. I put grenades in their pockets, bandoliers around their necks. And I had machine gun boxes, and I carried 2, because I had no rifle or anything. I carried 2. And every man I could get my hands on could carry another one if he wasn't carrying something else. We went through that machine gun fire. I didn't lose a man. It's unbelievable going back. I can't understand it. I still today, I can't figure how I got back there with 15 men or 14 men, and not one of them got a scratch. So I told the skipper, okay, Skipper, I brought the stuff back you needed, and I saw you bringing the men back. Okay, Matt. As I'm talking to him, there was a young fella, one of the new men.
Sure.
Good-looking young man, and he had the most beautiful smile, and he got shot right in the head. And I felt awful at that time. Then somebody over here got shot in the leg. I said, oh boy, they're shooting now, and they're picking us off. So I got down, I hunkered down, and I said to the captain, you know, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. He said, why? They know you're an officer, and they're shooting at you, and they're missing. Well, they're not going to hit me because they're shooting at you. He looked at me, and he was a lawyer, by the way, and the nicest guy in the world. What did you say? I said, I'm not going to hang around with you anymore. He says, Sergeant, yes, did it ever occur to you, I didn't bring the guys here with ammunition and more men, you did. Oh my God, maybe they're looking for me. I said, I'm taking off, I don't want to be near you. So we took the hill. We took the hill. 26 men, I think, hit the high ground. Took 17 more casualties. 9 men walked off that hill that night. Of the 9 men, 3 come from the city of New Bedford.
That's an amazing story.
It's an amazing, amazing thing. Kenny Stewartson, Joe Gibbo, and myself. Kenny died about 10 years after we got out, probably from cirrhosis of the liver. And Joe, I believe, about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, died of, I think, cancer of the esophagus. Because he always was complaining about swallowing and hurting, and I think that was the deal with him. But we worked together at Aerobox, Joe and I. And the strange thing about it, after the war, we never communicated about the war. We never talked about the war. I mean, and I never realized that there were 9 men that walked off. But if you took the 240 men and calculated it out to be about 97 to 98% casualties, we landed with 240 in the morning at 9 o'clock. That evening when we were relieved, I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning, but I can't picture us going off at 1 o'clock in the morning, but that's what they said. And the new battalion took our place. Of the battalion, the 3rd Battalion, is 1,000 men. There is 1,000 men in a battalion. 150 survived that day. They suffered 85% casualties of the battalion. Our commander of the battalion won the Medal of Honor that day. And imagine there were many, many decorations to take that hill. Some very brave young Marines. We didn't fight the next day. We hunkered down. And, we came down off that hill that night, and I left in a pile of stuff. I don't know what it was. Kenny and I were together. I'm laying there, and this shadow comes up to me and looks at me, a Jap soldier. I put my M1 right in his stomach and didn't shoot him. He turned around and walked away. Not one of us shot him. Because the reason I put the rifle in his stomach, so you wouldn't see the flash. If they seen the flash, it'd be all either grenades or mortars coming that way, you know. And not one machine on the ground. There must have been 150 of us there.
Why do you think that happened with the Japanese getting that particular soldier?
He was lost. I think he was lost and was trying to get back to his outfit.
Yeah.
And he walked in, and then he looked down at me. You know, when I put the rifle in him, he didn't move. He didn't move just that day. I was watching his hands. If his hands moved, I would have shot him. But it would have been against his stomach, so you wouldn't see the flash. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, but you didn't shoot him.
I didn't shoot him, and neither did the other guys.
Yeah.
He just walked right by us. Somebody must have nailed him. There's no doubt in my mind. But we didn't do it. When the group there, we didn't do it. And of course, maybe he went this way. There was nobody there. You know, I don't know which way he went. Because we were just there. A bunch of us but where we went up, that's where all we stayed that night. The following morning, they brought me a 10-in-1 rations, a big box, put it down. I shared it with 2 men. There was nobody left. 3 days after we landed, Kenny was hit real bad. We had a hot firefight that evening, and Kenny got hit. I put him on my flank. He was an automatic rifleman, BAR. And I put him on my flank, and Kenny, I heard him firing all night long, but then I had 2 men, 2 young men now. I turned them around to face backwards. And I said, anything coming from the back, kill it. But if it's the Marines, if he's that stupid, shoot him. No Marines are going to come up the back of me on a firefight. If anybody's going to try to get up to us, it'll be Japs.
All right, they'll try to overrun you again.
Well, come around the back of you and just throw a couple of grenades. That's all they have to do, a number on you, you know. That's the way we felt. That's what we thought. Well, we got through that firefight, and the next morning, a young fella come running up to me, Sarge, Kenny's hit. And I went over there to see him, and it was bad. He was hit in the face, chest, arm, whatever, the upper body.
Sure.
A grenade, I guess. It was a grenade that went off. But he was firing all night. I heard him. He was fighting. He didn't stop fighting. So I'm over there, I'm patching him up. And we had a pack. Because his mother knew my mother. And we said, well, if we die, it was clean. Shot in the heart, you know. Nice clean shot, and the man died. Whole
Right.
body.
Let the family know.
Yeah,
give
you
him that.
would tell him, and no pain, no suffering. And he says, I'm going to die, Matt. I said, you're not going to die. Go get a Band-Aid and come back in about 15 minutes. I need you here. But he was bad, and I didn't want to tell him he's bad. So he kept on saying, I'm going to die. You know, we talked about it. I said, you're not going to die. Guys like you never die. Man, you're going to be the best man at my wedding. And that's all I said. But I said it to make him live. Those words came true. Kenny was the best man at my wedding. The ending of Iwo Gima was just faded out. We killed them all. That was the end of it. And I went into hospital.
Because of your anxiety.
Because of anxiety, I went into hospital. I stayed there for quite a while, and I was doing well.
Yep.
I was doing well. But I was real serious, but I wasn't aggressive or mean or cruel.
Right.
Just the moods, you know what I mean?
Mood swings.
I don't want to bother with anybody. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. You want to go out, Matt? No, I don't want to bother with you guys. Another night, yeah, I'll go with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things, and it was real bad. To a point, the only place was left to go fight was Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they were trying to get me, well, remember the sergeant stuff?
Right, get you back.
Back on the line. Anyways, he said to me one day, I'm going to send you home for 30 days. And I want to keep you here for 30 days. And I says, and? He said, then you're going west. I said, you go. You take my place.
Now you're talking to the doctor at this?
Yeah, to the doctor,
All right.
psychiatrist.
Yep.
You go. You take my place. I can't go. I got to be here to take information. No, you go. You go. That's not confetti they're throwing at you. Those are real bullets and bombs and artillery fire.
Right.
And then he said, you saw a lot, didn't you? I said, I saw a lot that I never forgot. Then he starts getting into what happened to me all this time in Iwo. Then one day he come up to me and he said, Matthew, I can't put you back into combat. Would you take a discharge? I said, what kind of a discharge? He says, medical. I said, is that honorable? Oh, yes, very much so. It's not your fault. I said, okay. So I took an honorable discharge. The war was ending.
Wait, we never had to get into Japan.
No, I didn't even get my medical discharge. The war ended.
Oh, during that period? Oh, okay.
During that period of time.
Okay.
So they didn't say nothing, but sure, get him out of here. Well, everybody's getting out of here now.
Yeah.
So that was something else in itself. I would say that my anxiety lasted about 8 years, and I beat it. In my book, I write at the very beginning on the first page. The road was long. It had many twists and turns. Sometimes it was bumpy, but we held hands to the end of the road.
What you have just seen and heard is an account of a local citizen as he experienced the trauma of war. The goal of the Fort Taber Fort Rodman Historical Association, in conjunction with New Bedford Cable Access TV, in bringing you this interview, was not to glorify war, but rather keep the memory of these brave individuals alive as they experience these hellish events. We must remember the price of freedom and the sacrifice that these individuals have given for the people and the country that they love. Their courage serves as a role model for individuals of all ages that when confronted with stress and seemingly insurmountable problems, that we must face them boldly and with courage. Finally, we hope to demonstrate that in this small corner of the nation, we are filled with individuals who have behaved heroically and have contributed significantly to the history and the well-being of our nation. We want to thank you for watching Heroes Among Us.
Each year, thousands of people come to visit the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Many reach out and touch the wall to feel some of the 58,000 names that are etched in black stone. They were people whose lives had meaning. The Education Center at the wall will preserve the images, letters, and stories of those who served so that their lives will never be forgotten. Call or click now and help us build it.
We're the stronger than we look type. The braver than you think type. The type that's sure the time will come when we put type 1 behind us. We're the progress is inevitable type. The rise to every challenge type. The type that knows bit by bit the future is certain to get better. We're the plan for a cure type. The improve life along the way type. The type that will stop at nothing. Absolutely nothing. Until type 1 becomes type none.